Hey class, welcome to this video on intervals. I'm making it outside of my yard. You might hear a few cars going by. So we're going to talk first, we're going to remind ourselves about some basics about intervals, and then we're going to talk about figuring out intervals both upward and downward from the root of a major key, or the scale degree 1 of a major key. So there's this handout which I've given you, and there's a couple of visual cues about intervals. Intervals have two parts to the name. They have a number name and a quality name. The number name could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The odd numbers, 3, 5, 7, are visually very easy to see. They are on the same note holder. So if the lower note is on a line, the upper note will be on a line. So that you can quickly see that that's a third, both on a line, fifth, both on a line, seventh, both on a line. You could count them out, of course, but it's good to get this quick visual cue. Okay. Now, if they were on a space, then same thing: space, 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 and you can see the closer one is the third, the medium one is the fifth, and the more distant one is the seventh. So visual cue to quickly figure out the number name of an interval. If you are counting, remember to count inclusively. So C to E is a third because we count C, that's 1, D, next note in between, and then E is the third note, and that's why it's a third. Now, those are the odd numbered intervals. The even intervals are not on the same note holder. So if the lower note's on a space, the upper note will be on a line. And so here's a second, here's a fourth, and here's a sixth. Okay, the way we derive a name is we remember a very important fact, which is that if we start on the root note, or the note that is the name of the major key, and go upward, all the intervals in the scale will be major or perfect. So if we start on C and we go up to D, well, D is in the scale, so that's a major second, and so on. And we know this by looking at our interval box. So perfect intervals on this side, major, minor intervals on this side, augmented, diminished. So perfect intervals can become augmented and diminished, but will never, ever become major or minor. Major, minor intervals can become augmented, major interval can become diminished, and it can become minor and diminished, but never perfect. That's why these arrows are there. Okay, so that's the essence of it. And remember, every movement on this chart is by half step. So if a perfect interval is increased by a half step, it becomes augmented, decreased becomes diminished, a major interval becomes increased by a half step, becomes augmented, decreased becomes minor. So that's part one of the video. The second part is about upward and downward intervals. So we already know that an upward interval from the root will be major or perfect. In this video, we're going to talk about how downward intervals are minor or perfect. So what we're saying is that in a downward direction, what was once the default interval when we went upward was a major interval. Now when we go downward, still within the scale, we will get a minor interval. But the perfect intervals will remain the same. So let's see how this works. There's our C. We're in the key of C. That is the root of the scale. That is the root of a C scale. And we are going to go down to A. Now in our previous assignments, we went up to A and we figured out that that was a major sixth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All intervals upward from the root in a major scale are major or perfect. A sixth is a major minor interval. It's in that category. It's not a perfect interval, so that's a major sixth. Okay. Now we're going to go, in this example, we're going down to A. C down to A. Well, the new thing to remember is that downward intervals from the root are minor or perfect. Okay, so that is a minor third. C down to A. A is within the key. Downward intervals from the root are minor or perfect. You also know from previous classes that a minor third has 3 half steps, and a major third has, that's right, 4 half steps. So let's prove that this is a minor third and not a major third. Here's we're moving 1 half step, 2 half steps, 3 half steps. Okay, minor third. So to repeat, all intervals upward from the root in a major scale are major or perfect if they are perfect intervals. all intervals downward from the root are minor or perfect. So this is a second, it's downward, therefore it's a minor second. This is a third, it's downward from the root, so therefore it is a minor third. This is a fourth. Fourths are in the perfect category, so it's downward from the root in the scale, so that's a perfect fourth. This is a fifth. It is in the scale, therefore it is a perfect fifth. This is downward to a sixth. It's in the scale, therefore it's a minor sixth. And this is downward from the scale to a seventh, and it's in the scale, therefore it is a minor seventh. One final thing, let's look at, let's do a couple of these together, and then we'll do one final thing. So we just figured out that one out. Let's figure this one out. So it's C, that's the root of the scale. We are going down a sixth to E. There are no accidentals, it's in the key. So we remember this fact. So pause the video for a second and figure what that interval is. C downward a sixth to E is what kind of sixth? And if you figured out that it's, using our new knowledge, that it's a minor sixth, you are correct. Let's do one more. C down to G. And the answer is a perfect fourth.